Hey, if you've been wondering why you and your spouse feel maybe like roommates, or maybe you haven't got there yet because you're still newlywed and it's not necessarily a roommate stage, but you just feel like disconnected, like you can't seem to get on the same page, as if you're still two very different people and you're struggling to interconnect your lives. Well, if that's you, then today we're going to talk about how you can create that emotional connection and what might be at the root of the disconnection that you're feeling. We're going to share some simple but powerful ways to start reconnecting without even needing your spouse to be on board. Welcome to the United Christian Marriage Podcast, where we help you build a healthy, united marriage that impacts your family now and for generations to come. If your marriage feels disconnected or like you're the only one trying and he just doesn't get it, then you're in the right place. I'm Micaiah, a Christian marriage coach, trauma-informed mentor, and wife of a blue-collar man. I've been in the trenches too, and I've helped women make small but powerful shifts in their marriage daily, because it's really those little things that make the biggest difference. And I'm here to help you do the same, without the shame, without fluff, and always with Jesus at the center. On this podcast, we talk about biblical truths that you can actually apply to your marriage. We talk about how to communicate effectively and what it takes to create a deeply connected marriage, even if right now you're in a really hard place. I got pregnant at 17, married at 18, and had to build a life and marriage I never saw modeled. Jesus was all I had, and those early years, they were rough. Diapers, emotional outbursts, and total communication breakdowns. But if we can do it, you can too. So grab your coffee or tea and a notebook, and let's dive into today's episode. Okay, so I'm going to start by just telling you guys that I have struggled in my marriage with a lot of the things that I hear my clients struggling with, and what I assume most of you listening are going through. And it's this feeling of disconnection. For the women, there's these recurring thought patterns that I see in myself and in the wives that I'm coaching, thinking when things come up, oh, he doesn't love me, he just doesn't care. And then for the men, it's similar, but the wording changes just slightly. I haven't worked with many of the husbands yet, but just from knowing my own husband and doing research, I have seen, oh, she doesn't respect me. Sometimes they don't have the language to think that yet. It's what they're feeling. Like they're feeling disrespected, but they don't know how to say that yet. Sometimes it's the thought, oh, it'd be easier to just shut down right now, or like, I just need to get away from this. Like they go almost into that flight or freeze state. And then sometimes it's like the feeling of she doesn't trust me enough to do this thing. And so those are kind of the common ones, and I bring those up because a lot of times we don't realize it, but connection or disconnection starts in our thoughts, the way that we're thinking about a situation, thinking about our spouse. And don't worry, we're going to get to other real strategies that feel a little more applicable. I know that when we talk about thoughts, sometimes people can be like, okay, but what do I do with that? And there's lots of real things that you can do with that. There's thought work that can be done. But I know that can feel out of reach for some people, or like that's not the solution. And so we're going to walk through this. There's other things here that I wanted to get into because the timeliness of this episode really worked out the way that, Holy Spirit wanted it to. He often, before I go into an episode, he'll give me a situation to speak about, and I won't realize it until I'm going in to record the episode that like, oh, that was connected to this. So that happened to me yesterday. Me and my husband had a very good connection day. After me feeling very lonely the night before. I think we've talked about on the podcast before about the research that's been done on connection and relationships, and how they did that big study on all those men and found that the ones who did not feel like they had quality connection, quality relationships, they actually died sooner across all income levels, socioeconomical, differences. Like, all these things were different about them. And yet the one thing that they had in common was those who had strong relationships, they were the ones who lived longer, had a healthier life, and the ones who did not, they actually died sooner than the other group of people. And so that's been on my mind a lot lately, and I've battled with my own loneliness, which is part of what my heart is in creating this podcast in my Facebook community and my group coaching program. Is like, I know other people are lonely, and I know how dangerous loneliness is, and I want to create that space for people to have that connection and to feel heard, seen, and loved and valued. And so the night before yesterday, I just had like a really long day. I was kind of emotional, just from exhaustion. And then my husband had gone out fishing and was hanging out with his brother. And I was just like in it alone, which I honestly, part of me needed that to process, but also it just amplified my loneliness feeling. And then I kind of just had a emotional breakdown when my husband got home, and I just like cried, and I let it all out, and I told him how I was feeling and how it's just, I've struggled to feel in place, right, throughout my life, because I never had close friendships, besides like 2 grade school friends that I had for short periods of time, and one in like 3rd grade and one in 6th grade. And then after that, it was just, and in between those, I really never had those close friendships. And so even into my adult life, it's been really hard for me to break out of my mindset of thinking that like I can't make friends, or everyone already has the friends, and like that's been a struggle for me and something that I've had to work on. And so at times I've leaned too heavily into my marriage to fill that void of like, okay, I'm at home with the kids and I don't really do much else besides church on Sunday. And so sometimes I rely on my husband too heavily to fill this like lonely void. And he works a job with people all week. So when he gets home, he's not exactly empty. If anything, like he's exhausted and he needs a second to recoup or to take alone. Whereas I'm just like, okay, I haven't talked to like grown people. Can I have an adult conversation? Like, so sometimes we've found that throughout our marriage, we've been on these opposite spectrums. And there's times when I have worked, like I've gone to the salon or something and, done like part-time work there, and then I come home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk to you yet. I just need to decompress. So it's not that I don't understand where he's coming from. It's just really, it's hard to navigate that sometimes. So anyways, I say all that to say I was struggling. And then yesterday we took our Sabbath and we were enjoying church, and then we came home and we ate and we laid the kids down and we did our weekly reset. And I was like, okay, we need to have some family fun. We're not just gonna sit in front of the TV. We ended up going outside and we did some water play, and it was really fun. And there was just some different connections that were made. There was like the connection of watching my husband play with the kids, and the connection of me just getting to like sunbathe in the backyard and soak up the sun on the trampoline, where like the kids couldn't get to me because they can't get on the trampoline by themselves yet. So it was really nice. I let my husband spray me with the hose. He thought that was the best thing ever. Um, I regretted it almost every time he did it. He could not see how far he was spraying, and he kept spraying me right in the face. So that was fun, but also interesting. um, Anyways, I tell you this story because we had a great time as a family, but also then me and my husband came inside and we felt super connected because of it. We both had fun. For a little bit, I was doing bubbles with the kids out there too, and it was just fun for everyone. And then it actually like sparked different levels of intimacy. There was like the emotional intimacy of like sharing that moment together, right? And I think, I guess that's more recreational intimacy, but the emotional intimacy came in when we spoke about how much we enjoyed it, and we got to talk about that and sharing that in discussion. And then there was even sexual intimacy from that because of like getting to, I don't know, like be in my bathing suit, I guess. Like, I feel like if you feel good in what you're wearing, then that makes you more like prone to those um, sexual experiences with your husband. And so that was a moment for me where I was like, wow, like I feel good and I want to like bless my husband, if that makes sense. And so I won't get too TMI because that's not the typical conversation we have on this podcast. But like when I opened up to this new experience, I mean, it's not particularly, well, it is. So it's not, it doesn't sound like it'd be super new for us to like go outside and play in the water, but our kids are like both just to the level where they can run around by themselves. Like, this is our first summer where we're like, okay, both our kids are walking and we don't have to carry them or have them strapped to us or, have one breastfeeding. Like, it's just finally like they're kind of doing their own thing. And so this has really been the first summer we've got to do these sorts of things. And we really haven't got out there to do much yet. We don't have a sprinkler, a little pool or anything yet. So he was literally just spraying the hose in the air. And like, we never thought to do that before. I don't know why, but like it just came to him and we did it and everyone had a blast. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling about that. But I wanted to give that example because it really was an amazing time to connect. And it reminded myself of the power of just following the systems that I have in place. And I think when things get awry, it's because we're getting out of those systems of like, okay, we didn't actually schedule in family fun this day, or we scheduled it in, but it was just a block on the calendar. It didn't really mean anything. We didn't plan what we were going to do and we didn't honor it, or we just felt so exhausted. We fell into the hole of just sitting in front of the TV and not moving, all of those things. And so if you guys get anything from this, I want you to remember to put strong systems in place and follow them. I want you to remember to fantasize and dream within the context of marriage, right? Like, dream about your husband, fantasize about your husband, imagine these things, get creative, think out of the box about what you can do, whether that is in your sex life or that's in your backyard with your whole family, like whatever it is, like think of something new and fun that you want to try and then take it to your husband. And if your husband is someone who's maybe a little more closed off to new ideas, then just pray before you go into it and just ask that God would open his heart and his mind to whatever you're going to share with him. And then the other thing, I guess, would be like, do it without expecting anything from him. Like, I don't want you to go into this to just like add another thing to your plate. I want this to feel really good to both of you. So get curious, allow him to share his input, take what he's saying seriously and let him know that like, hey, I value your input. I want to hear what you have to say here. Just communicate a little stronger. Yesterday, I think a big part of what went so well was that my husband actually stepped up and communicated extremely well. And usually we have times where like we go back and forth where one of us will be communicating better than the other person that day. I wouldn't say that either one of us is a perfect communicator all the time. We kind of like, it goes back and forth, right? Depending on what kind of day both of us have had and how we're feeling and all of those things. And so there's times where both of us forget to use the communication tools that we've learned. And then the other person will jump in, be the bigger person, use the tools, or, calm the situation, get everyone thinking level-headed again. And yesterday, my husband did that for me. I had a moment where I just was so consumed with my emotion. I was so overwhelmed. He had said something that really triggered me, and he could tell by the way that I responded. And it was weird because we were having a really good day up until that point. So it wasn't like things had been tense, but he could tell, and he stopped. We took space for a second to calm down, take some deep breaths. Then we came back together, and he was like, I could tell that triggered you. I don't know what exactly it was that I did that triggered you, but I'm assuming that something did by the way that you acted. And then he went on into this, I don't want to say speech because he wasn't preaching at me, but he went on to say a lot of really good things that I needed to hear, and I just needed to know that he noticed, if that makes sense. And I could see how much awareness he had, and I couldn't even be upset because all I could think in my head was wow, it's been a long time since I've seen my husband communicate this clearly with me. I could just tell he had so much awareness about what he was saying and the way he was saying it and how he wanted to show up. He was taking accountability for his part. He wasn't trying to blame me, shift blame or anything like that. He was doing fantastic. I was so proud of him. And I told him that because it was a huge, huge moment of just yes, this is a win. What we are doing is working. And so I just wanted to share this episode. It's a little more vulnerable, a little more in the moment. I usually try to if I'm picking scenarios, pick ones that are maybe a little further back that I have more hindsight on, that I'm okay, I can see that clearly now. But I just really wanted to share this because we're going into 4th of July weekend. There's all these summers that just fly by, right? They just fly by and you're where did that go? And I don't want this summer to be one that feels wasted to you. So if you do need help with this, if you want help in your marriage, feeling connected, feeling like you and your spouse are on the same page and you can have fun together and communicate clearly and come back from even those moments where you feel triggered, then I encourage you guys to book a free coaching call. The link will be in the show notes. And I also would love for you guys to join my Facebook community so you guys can curb any of that loneliness that you might be feeling in your own lives and start to get connected and ask questions in there and get responses from me. I am in there personally answering people. So we would love to have you guys in there, and I'd love to see you guys on a coaching call. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you got so much value out of it. And if you loved this episode, could you do me a quick favor and click 5 stars and leave me a review? It would do wonders for spreading the podcast out to other people who need it, and it only takes a few seconds. If you have an additional few seconds, why don't you go ahead and screenshot the episode and share it to your stories so we can spread the message and get more families healed. Thank you, and until next time, I will be praying for you, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.